everyone. So the other day, my pup here, she just turned 2 on Tuesday, and Tuesday is when she caused problems. She opened my mail, and I had a prescription for this big boy. This is Piper. He's a German Shepherd mix. He's got bad hips, so he gets essentially dog ibuprofen. So that prescription came in the mail, and for whatever reason, the delivery driver put the prescription on the inside of the gate instead of on the outside. They usually place prescription or packages on the outside of the gate, but that didn't happen this time. And I have a naughty dog, so she opened the mail and ate a bottle of dog ibuprofen. It's called carprofen. She chewed it on open and ate 90 pills. That's a whole lot. That is considered an NSAID. Ibuprofen or carprofen is an NSAID. And that's an NSAID toxicity level of how many she ate with the dosage and everything. So I called the vet, and they recommended taking her to the emergency vet in town. We're about a half hour away. So I called, got a little bit of information, and brought her in. And I'm going to kind of go through what happened, some bills that they gave me, and so forth. So as I'm editing this video, I just want to put this in that I am not an animal professional. This is just my experience, my know-how. This is not to replace any sort of medical advice. This is not to say, here, this is what a vet would say to do, blah, blah, blah. No, this is just me, my opinion. So if something happens to your animal and you followed my advice, I'm very sorry, but I am not a animal professional. So when I first got home and I saw this, I had not a clue how long ago she had taken the medications and really anything, except that she still looked good and I had an empty bottle of pills. But with the kind of medication she took, you are worried about kidney and liver failure, and that takes a while to show up. You know, some things say 12 to 24 hours, some things say 24 to 48 hours. Right now we're at about roughly 48 hours, not quite, maybe 36 from when she ingested, and she's doing pretty good, so I'm happy. But so even though she looked great initially, there's still a lot of risks for things happening. So I'm not going to share which vet I took her to, but the first estimate after I brought her in and they kind of said this would be our game plan, $3,000. So that is for a lot of stuff. I'm going to turn the camera around here. Sorry, it's windy outside and papers are going everywhere. So they wanted to, they have the charge for the emergency fee and then basically giving her a lot of fluids. They were going to give her, this is a pantoprazole, that's for belly stuff. This one right here, I don't know how to pronounce, that's for nausea. Like I said, 6 bags of fluids would have cost me roughly $474. The sucralfate, that's kind of like what's in Pepto, $30 there. Omeprazole, so like a PPI, proton pump inhibitor, $24. Keeping her hospitalized for 48 hours is, $450. Doing a couple exams adds up. Doing some labs. Activated charcoal 6 times doing that. Almost $500. So yeah, when they first came in with that, I essentially said, I love my dog, but she was a $75 rescue. And I have other responsibilities. I have kids. I don't have $3,000. So they came back with a new one. So here's the next one. This was me kind of saying hey, I'm a nurse. I know how to do a lot of things. What can you do to get me set up to do this at home? And they said, okay, here's a new estimate. Still checking labs. Still giving a lot of all the same meds. And we were at $1,200. which was not super ideal. And I was like, well, what can we do? So then they came up with another one. So this was the third estimate they gave me. Sorry, I had to do a little bit of writing on it. I said, I don't want the fluids, give her 1 liter while in the vet, but I can get other stuff for a whole lot cheaper elsewhere. Give me the meds. I'm not checking labs, and I'll explain that in a minute, and I'll get activated charcoal somewhere else. So I got my hands on some other meds. A friend of mine actually had her dog have some kidney problems, so she had extra fluids, IV fluids that I gave, so I got those. I went and got some activated charcoal that I'll go through, and did everything at home because, again, can't rationalize spending $3,000 on a dog. If somebody else wants to or can, great for you, but that's not me. Again, I am not a vet. I'm not an animal expert. I'm just going through what I did. Maybe I'll give you some good advice. Maybe you're going to say it's terrible advice. I don't care, whatever works. But the first night, she got a couple bags of LR, or they're lactated ringers, like most people call it LR. I did start an IV on her a couple times because that's something I fortunately know how to do, but she actually sits really great, so I'm going to show you how to do it sub-Q. My bag is empty, but again, she's really good, so she will be a great dog to show you what to do and to teach you. She did get a liter this morning, and you can kind of see she's a little pudgy down here. So that fluid all goes in sub-Q, but gravity, you put it up here, gravity kind of pulls it down. So she's a little pudgy here. Yesterday she was really pudgy. I was a little worried about her liver not filtering things out, but this morning she looked great. That tells me that things are still working. I've seen her pee multiple times. When a dog is concerned for kidney failure, you're worried about them not peeing, and she obviously is. When you're worried about liver failure, this pudgy fluidness doesn't go through their system, and it can sit by their core and cause something called ascites, or just difficulty breathing because of all the fluids. So where you go when you're giving sub-Q fluid is right kind of between their shoulder blades. You'll see there's all this like skin there. It's a great spot to be putting a bunch of fluids. It'll give them kind of a hunchback. And like I said, gravity will pull it down, so there'll be a little plumper, pudgier right here. But it's very easy to do. I'm going to try to get my camera set up. Like I said, she's actually looking great. But she's a great one to learn on. And so I'm going to try to teach people as much as I can. All right, so again, she decided to move, so we're at a new place. You go right between this shoulder blade, all that pudgy skin. You will have a needle, just a basic little needle, nothing too big. Sometimes it's nice if you kind of rub. She's done so good I don't need a holder, but sometimes you need a holder. I'm gonna lay her down. Good girl. Again, pull up, stick the needle in. It's literally that simple. And then you will have your bag of fluids. Mine are empty. And you'll open up your clamp right here, open it up, and the fluids will drip in. You'll see a nice good drip, and then you just simply pull it out. That's all there is to doing some sub-Q fluid. So because she's moving so much and kind of being fidgety, that gives me a really great and clear indication that she is doing a lot better. Even, yesterday morning, she just kind of sat for that. Now she's kind of like, what are you doing? I've done this 50 times and I'm sick of it. So she's, doing pretty good. I'm happy. Good girl. Another thing to look for when you're concerned about liver failure is the whites of their eyes will start turning yellow. Just a common sign of liver problems. Something that she had shortly after she vomited a bunch of times after the initial ingestion is her eyes were really, really red. Just looking bloodshot. Little boy's making faces. But her eyes were bloodshot, and that is from just all the... Stop. That's just from all the vomiting and kind of the retching and trauma that can kind of cause. So this is the bottle of activated charcoal that the vet gave me. They wanted me to give this to her 6 times. I did not listen. I've done it 3 times. So I did this bottle, and then I actually went and talked to another vet that I have see my animals. She's a mobile vet. I really appreciate her input, and she said that you can give the human version. So I went to this health food store, bought powdered activated charcoal, and I put this into my bottle, put a few scoops. There was no rhyme or reason. Again, I'm not a medical professional. I could not find milligram stuff, so I went with what my gut told me. Put a few scoops of this activated charcoal into here, mix it up, drenched my dog. I'm not going to demonstrate that because she hates that and I hate doing it. But essentially, you cut the top off. You can kind of squeeze this. You open their mouth. Luckily, she is not a biter. If you had a biter, that would be really difficult. But you squeeze it, kind of put it in the side of their mouth, and just squeeze a little at a time. A lot comes out in a very little squeeze. You got to get it to the back of their mouth. You got to get them to swallow it. But you also got to be careful that you're not shoving it down their lungs. Now, a dog that's awake, alert, fighting you a little bit, their gag reflex is really intact, and they're likely not going to aspirate. However, if you're shoving a whole bottle to the back of their throat and you're doing it too quickly, that's where you can run into problems. But I saved myself hundreds of dollars by going to buy this. Again, it was against what the vet recommended, but I did it anyway. I went home with 3 different medications from the original vet. Omeprazole. A lot of people take this. It is a stomach protectant. All these NSAIDs, that bottle of like dog ibuprofen that she ate, is really, really, really hard on the belly. So she gets this every 12 hours for about 10 days. And then she gets sucralfate. This is kind of like that Pepto pill. What you do with that one, I'm going to show you exactly what they recommended I do. Sorry, I need a table here. So, you got your syringe. This is a 10 cc syringe. You pop that off. You take your big pill, put it in there. You suck, and then you put this back on. You suck up about 5 to 7 cc's of water. You shake it, and it'll dissolve very, very quickly. So there was a little bit of water left in this, and this is already starting to kind of dissolve. So again, it dissolves very quickly. You get your nice little pink fluid in here, shake it up good, and you just squirt it in the back of their mouth. And then, again, I don't know how to pronounce this one, but just another stomach protectant that she gets every 6 hours. So, yeah, we went home with a little pharmacy. And then after I saw that one vet that told me to get the other activated charcoal, she recommended getting milk thistle. This is a liver support medication. Concerns for my dog's liver and kidneys, like I said, is quite high. So even though she's probably outside of that window of, hey, she's going to die immediately, she's not outside of that window of she could have permanent damage. So anything that we can do to help prevent permanent damage is needed. This is a great thing. I was told to keep her on it for 3 months. 1 pill every day for 3 months. So I think that's kind of the sum of what we've had to do, what I've essentially had to do to care for my dog after she had an overdose of NSAIDs. It's a lot of meds. We gave her a lot of fluids, and now we wait. I was kind of told that if she makes it through the end of the week, so today's Thursday now, happened on Tuesday, if we make it through the end of the week, we should be pretty good. But again, we're worried about those secondary problems, the liver shutting down, anything like that. So, sorry, I was screwing up my camera. I think she will be fine. to be honest. She threw up so much that I don't even know how much she ingested. Nonetheless, she ingested way too much, but vomiting is a good thing. It was not recommended to induce vomiting, probably because she had already thrown up so many times. She threw up a few times at home. I found vomit piles. Threw up twice in my car on the way to the vet, and then twice at the vet. That's when they gave her that nausea medication. It's called an antiemetic. That is what helps make them stop vomiting all over the place. I have not noticed any diarrhea, but I don't honestly know how much she has in her belly to go through her stomach to cause any diarrhea. But otherwise, she looks pretty good. So, little lady here, Miss Nebby. You might be thinking about, well, what do we do for that prescription for my other dog? Because poor old man here needs his pain meds. So we get his pain medications through Chewy, and I worked with them and they were wonderful. I don't know if you've ever worked through Chewy, chewy.com. You see commercials for them. Not sponsored by them, nothing like that. They've just treated me really, really well. So when I called and explained what happened, they did need a new prescription, and I had to talk to my vet about getting a new prescription, but they applied all the same discounts. They kept the price the same, and they were just really easy to work with. You can get a lot of these medications, so I had other people to get me the fluids that I needed for Nebby. However, you can get fluids and things like that off of Chewy. They kind of have everything, and they ship really quickly right to your house. I live out in the middle of nowhere, and I still get things within 1 to 3 days. So let's say I had no way to get fluids and I didn't want to spend the money at the vet. If I would have called Chewy and put it like a priority overnight shipping, you maybe would have had to pay for it, but it's another option that probably don't know for sure. I haven't looked into it, but probably would have been significantly cheaper. I also said I was going to talk about labs. So on the initial and maybe even the second estimate that the vet gave me, they had lab checks. So they would like to check their my dog's kidney and liver function, because that's what all this is about, kidney and liver. And I refused that. I, as a nurse, know the importance of checking labs. I know it's actually really important because it gives you a starting point. How bad did this overdose make her kidneys and liver? And then checking it later to see, is what we're doing actually working? So yes, it is important. The reason I chose not to do it was because if what we're doing is not working, I'm not going to spend any more money. That is my situation personally. What I spent is what I spent. I'm not willing to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars more because what we're doing isn't working. And labs are going to tell us, okay, it's not working. So what are we going to do to fix it? Well, I was already doing everything I was willing to do, so I wasn't going to do anything to fix it. But on the flip side, if the labs showed that what we were doing is working, well, great. That's all it's telling me is what we're doing is working. Well, I'm going to know it's working by either having a dead dog or an alive dog. It's either working or it's not working. So that's my rationale for not doing labs. Now, she is due for a yearly checkup, get your shots, all that kind of good stuff visit. And at that visit, usually I do like routine labs, just to kind of make sure things are okay in their body and life is hunky-dory. So I would probably do it then. But I wasn't going to use it as a diagnostic tool because no matter what those labs showed, I was going to continue doing what I was already doing. So just my 2 cents on labs. I know that they're very valuable, but it wasn't going to change things for me and my situation. So unless something drastic happens, I'm sure you will keep seeing her pop in and out of videos over the next however long. And if something drastic does happen in a negative way, I will update and let you know. All right, until next time.